Welcome to be here. Today, I'm super honored and happy to have some very close friends. Adaora is the head of the RLab, which is a fantastic...
No, not the head. I'm not the head of it. I'm the director of corporate innovation.
The director of corporate innovation at the RLab. Sorry, correct me. I'm wrong. And then Mariia Tintul is with WeAR, and she's joining us from Europe right now.
Yep.
So
thank you for having us.
Yes, no, I'm so happy to have you guys. So I guess I want to start with you, Adaora. At New York right now is really been affected a lot by what's going on, the elephant in the room, right? COVID. There is a lot going on here, and there were so many events planned. We were having events weekly and daily in this amazing hub. Actually, as a matter of fact, before we get to that question, I want to show you what we're talking about. Show you this amazing space. So take a look. So that is a video rendition of the RLabs, but you can tell us a little bit more about the space and what's going on, what's changed, and how it's going.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. RLab is a new initiative in New York City. It's something that's funded by the New York Economic Development Corporation and the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. And it's actually a consortium of universities that includes NYU Tandon School of Engineering, the Columbia University New School, and CUNY. And essentially, it's operated by Tandon, the School of Engineering, and we are a hub that's based in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, so we're in Brooklyn. It's 16,500 square feet of space, and what you just saw is a rendering of the development and construction that was going on to change this space into a hive of activity where startups are working out of, who are focused on spatial computing, future interfaces, as well as 3D technology. That's our goal. I mean, that's our focus rather. And our goal is to generate the growth of the applications of these technologies, as well as help people learn new skills about what they are and what they may be able to make with them. So we run a series of programs for startups. We also have education and training programs. And we also work with corporate innovators. And as you said, we have lots of events, a lot of community building, lots of meetup, hackathons, jams. We're trying to create a really robust, or we are creating a really robust ecosystem of people both in New York City, but across the country as well as globally, because we work with teams from all over the world, from South America, from Europe, from Africa, from the Middle East, from Asia. And right now, like so many of us, globally, we're moving much of our activities that were to take place in person, and now they're been moved digitally. And obviously, we're all really hopeful that there's a short-term planning around working digitally. And ironically, the teams that we work with, the academics, the researchers, the students, the entrepreneurs, the corporates, and so on and so forth, are really going to be looking at these new digital tools that we've been involved in very differently moving forward, right? Because as you know, Edwin, and as you know, Mariia, these tools are critical to the next generation of how we access our computing power. And so the work continues, and in the short term, we're doing a lot of things online, and in the long term, we're really hoping to get back into our space sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for a long time, as you know, people that have been in the VR space and pitching to different clients, And sometimes the feedback that you get is that, oh, this is a really nice thing to have, and AR and VR, it's really cute, it's good, and then COVID came and it's just like, this is all of a sudden a need to have. Like, I need to be able to escape my house, and I also need the ability to experience virtual worlds and experience some change. And also, I need to be able to have a meeting and a communication that happens without having to physically be there. And so I think that it's also good for the environment too, to have more telecommuting happening than actual commuting. And so I think we're learning some very key lessons through this period of challenge that is going to really help and revolutionize what we're doing. Now, I definitely want to continue to talk about the RLab, and have a cool video that I want to show. But I also want to talk a little bit with Mariia about WeAR and show a quick clip of what she is working on, which is, by the way, pretty awesome.
Let's puzzle out some of the most interesting moments of 2019 and try to foresee what should businesses expect from X reality in 2020.
We are going to talk about most important events for AR/VR in 2019, the greatest cases worldwide, award-winning cases that were based on the technology, social medias and their AR takeover. What are the biggest influencers on the vibrant AR/VR future in 2020?
Google Maps. You have to really be out of touch if you have missed out on this one. Guys at Google have released their beta testing of AR navigation, and it's big.
Google Maps Live View uses augmented reality to display virtual sign points and directions in the real world. We tried to find any results on the web, but there are no statistics on the use for now. Hoping to hear more on this topic soon.
Our vision-based approach works similar to how humans orient and navigate, by recognizing familiar features and landmarks. It's a human-like approach to the human-scale problem of navigating on foot.
Now, this visual positioning system is the core piece that makes our augmented reality walking navigation experience so fast and accurate.
ARKit 3 and its mind-blowing new capabilities like space tracking using multiple users, human body recognition, and occlusion that understands depth. This opens up a new avenue of creative concepts to play around with.
Not only we can extend those planes on the ground when features are detected, but the floor is actually going even further, but we can also, with the ability to detect, we also have the ability to detect walls on the side where no feature points are present. And this is thanks to machine learning.
So with ARKit 3 and people occlusion, you can now solve that problem. It can then, for example, be mapped to a virtual character in real time. Now, this could only be done with external setup and special equipment before. Now, with ARKit 3, it just takes a few lines of code and works right on your iPad or iPhone.
Okay, that was a lot of cool information. I have a ton of questions.
Good.
So,
that's what I want.
No, seriously, like, I think basically there is a lot happening in AR, and you're the expert because WeAR is doing a lot of work with brands specifically to create really robust, immersive experiences. So, I mean, if you want to share something that is publicly available to share, tell us something that something that you found the most useful since this whole COVID thing happened.
Well, right now we are working with brands that are using AR for their marketing and sales activations, but we also work with large enterprise clients on, let's say, operational and helpers apps in AR and VR. If you look at our proportions, then we're having like 80% of things in augmented reality and then 20 in VR. So I would say that among the last, advances, one of the things is actually related to also your previous question. I see that people started treating AR VR seriously. One of our positioning points is that we're trying to overcome the stereotype that augmented and virtual reality are all about gaming, and that's it. It's not, and it's a real commercial tool for many years already. But the problem is that businesses don't really get too many cases in front of them. It's not like
Yeah.
we're not showing as an industry, but we still have to work on our PR and which cases are actually reaching the CEOs and marketers all around the globe. So that was actually one of the reasons why we decided that we want to do the YouTube channel, speaking about what are the business cases out on the market, what could you expect from the technology already, what are the capabilities, limitations, which graphics can you get if you're using it, and thank you for showing a little bit of it. That's
Yeah, no,
really
I'm not just showing a little bit. I want to show more because and you also have your own show and your own YouTube channel, which people could go check out at WeAR Studio, and so I think you're doing a lot of interesting work. I've been following you for a while, and I think that there are practical applications for AR and the power that we have in our pockets. Again, and I mention this a lot, is that 5G too is going to revolutionize the amount of graphics that we're able to have in a device, because all the computing will happen on the cloud, and then your phone becomes a display, so that we could do more powerful, more interesting things.
absolutely.
Adaora, do you have any questions or anything you wanted to say?
No, I agree. I think the timing is good. I love the examples that you presented, Mariia. I mean, there's so much that we don't know yet, and it's really fun to see the evolution happening at a faster clip at this point around the applications of AR. From mapping, from branding, from anatomy classes for medical students. I mean, you can go down the list in terms of the material applications. I mean, I think one of the things that's really interesting in the work that we do is we work straight across sectors. So we work in healthcare, we work with architects, we work with industrial manufacturers, we work with consultants, we work with media, entertainment, gaming, e-commerce. I mean, it's such a broad group of people because this is enabling technology, right? And it's really subject matter expert dependent. So the subject matter experts, whether they be in e-commerce or in medicine, need to understand like what this new enabling technology looks like and how then it might be applied to the work that they do. One of the companies that we had in the accelerator, we had an accelerator in the fall. We currently have one too. We had 6 companies. 2 of them were European companies. Well, 3 of them actually, which were European companies. 1 was from out west and 2 were from New York. But one of them is a company called Virti, VIRTI, and they are an educational platform. And they've literally just installed and have scaled to training in this COVID environment to 1.2 million healthcare workers in the national health system in the UK. They're a UK.
Wow.
So education and training on a huge scale very quickly. And they were able to be deployed. I mean, clearly they were in conversations and working with the NHS in a variety of ways pre-COVID, but they were able to deploy in a really meaningful and materially game-changing way during this pandemic.
That is so amazing. That is heartwarming to hear that the VR community is actually doing something to help train medical workers in this time of really important need for this kind of specific training, so that it protects and saves lives. Just the concept that us developers can actually, without a medical degree, build something that helps someone else save a life it's mind-boggling to me. I've never would have imagined that VR could be this powerful, but
AR too, also.
Exactly.
AR is being used in a lot of ways for now. Medical students are at home, and so there's been all these efforts to create these anatomy modules that are augmented reality, three-dimensional assets that can either be viewed through a headset, but also can be used on a device. So that's really meaningful, right? Because now you can teach in a way when you're not in the same place and you don't have a cadaver in front of you that you never could before. And so those medical students aren't losing time in the same way that they may have 5 years ago when there was no AR application and they were reliant upon things like cadaver and other traditional curriculum tools. And so today it's different. So there's so many examples, and I'm sure Mariia, you would agree, that are going to come out of this that will fundamentally change the way people think about the way we work and the way we live.
Absolutely. I think the biggest obstacle we were facing was this perception that AR and VR is not that accessible, that it's this technology and it's quite difficult to either create your project in it or to get useful use cases. One of the things that we already have in our pockets is the phone. And most of the phones right now on the market, they do have all the needed capabilities, like technical specifications for us to run AR. And I guess the biggest perk of it is the visualization, the three-dimensional perception of some of the things that you're studying, or even if we're talking about e-commerce, it's about decision-making, right? And right now, what is happening, everything is going online. And so how do you change your communication digitally? How do you create new channels for you to interact with your audience?
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry. But I think you really have some great examples that I want to, we only have a limited amount of time, so I want to share. I love the Jack Daniels. Now, hopefully I picked the right clip. If not,
Let's puzzle out some of the most interesting moments of 2019 and try to foresee what should businesses expect from X reality in 2020. We are going to talk about Off to the next category now. What more could I cover from 2019? I could name drop, for example, Jack Daniels. One of the most compelling cases in packaging this year. Informative and interactive, simple visual way to communicate. PORSCHE. Here you go. I was shown this really simple case by a number of people. The level of graphics and detail won hearts of the brand followers. How about CERN? Of course they did AR, and not just AR, but in a collaboration with Google. You can simply go back in time 13.8 billion years ago. Nothing major, right? Learn about the creation of the universe in a simple and engaging way.
Make a fist. Open your hand. Just a billionth of a second has passed, and it's blisteringly hot. Around 10 million billion degrees. The energy of the Big Bang has transformed into a thick soup of quarks, electrons, neutrinos, and photons.
I love science, and so this amazing Big Bang AR, and then also the Jack Daniels example is really exactly what we're talking about here. Is like, how can brands differentiate? How can educators in a very, very visceral way educate? And so I love those two examples. I wanted to make sure to get it, squeeze it into the show, because it's just mind-boggling, all the possibilities that we have to educate people with AR and VR, but also to create brand experiences that are so much more engaging and fun than you can have physically in reality.
Yeah, it's again, it's just one of the new interaction points you could be using right now, since all your audience. I don't know when we're going back to the offline anything, and so this is one of the ways for you to actually do this emotional connection. When we're talking about e-commerce, for example, when you're going online to purchase, your decisions are very metrics driven. You're very rational about what you're choosing. You're choosing the best price, you're choosing the best logistics, and you will actually go and maybe even search on a couple of websites for you to find the best offering. The offline is exactly the opposite. You're going and you're seeing, you're touching something, you like the materials, and you're making the purchase. So AR, we are, the way we're positioning it, this could enable something in between. You would still be very rational about how you're making the purchase, but when you're seeing that object in your room and you're trying it in your real environment, or when you're interacting with the brand and you have something, it's spatial. Our brains are easily deceived by VR because we understand the world in 3D. So this is how we also see it. It could enhance your online and digital experiences.
Yeah.
And I would just add that to Maria's point, which I think is really well taken, that in the past 5 years in this modern incarnation of VR and AR, because obviously they were decades and decades and decades in R&D to get to the point where you could actually commercialize some of these things and you could start creating products that people could actually buy and use. Still difficult, but it could happen. And obviously we've seen a huge change in just 5 years, even in terms of like the hardware and the software. But there is a real challenge of helping corporates and individuals understand what that access point looks like. And while we're in the middle of this pandemic, I've had many conversations in the past 2 weeks or more with corporates in our ecosystem who are now really wanting to learn about these collaborative tools. And they don't have the hardware, right? And their employees don't necessarily have the hardware. So that's where like entities like RLab come in, which is around just some basic introduction and training. Like if you're a manager, what do you need to be thinking about in terms of XR technologies? What kinds of skills do you need to have in-house, or do you contract? Who might those vendors be, or what that talent pipeline, who are those people in that talent pipeline? What might that look like? So, I mean, we're training the next generation, upskilling professionals, as well as working with mostly graduate students, a lot of graduate students and some undergrads, but mostly graduate students. But a lot of upskilling of professionals so that they have these next level of skill sets so that they can then take them back into their workplace or their entities and then apply them in meaningful and valuable ways for their companies and their corporations. And we can do that now. We can help them think through like what some of those issues are and how they prepare themselves to engage heartily and in really substantive ways around applications that would be meaningful for them.
Yeah, that is so. I mean, and me at Adaora, we've been talking for years, even before the RLab was built, and on this vision of the RLab. And it's what's amazing is how much it has helped startups create and have the freedom to have more resources available to them, because you're not just having to struggle with only a handful of developers, but you're also connected to universities and to graduate students and to scientists and to businesses that come in for a daily basis. So, I mean, I think the RLabs is so important. I want to showcase a little bit about what it is, because I just showed the kind of like 3D model, but this is a real physical space massive space in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and it is so vital for us. So let me show you a little bit and take a little break.
This new facility in the Brooklyn Navy Yard is a first of a kind for New York City, for New York State. It's the first of a kind public facility devoted to virtual and augmented reality, research and development, entrepreneurship, and education. We're extremely excited what this means for New York.
Well, I think we're all focused on what is the future of media. Media landscape is constantly changing, and we know that VR and AR are going to be a critically important part of the media landscape.
In New York City, we think it's important to prepare for not the city as it is today, but how the city will be 5, 10, 15 years in the future, and that we have a center where we're able to explore those innovations now.
The technology has already proven that it can benefit all sorts of sectors, such as health, finance. All those things are present in New York and can come together under this type of new technology.
The idea that we can now make 3D objects, digital objects, that they wouldn't be profoundly useful in some way just feels incredible, which is why there's so many stakeholders who are investing their time and their resources in trying to understand how they might use some of this technology.
And now we're going to build 21st century opportunities here at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, bringing together our university partners, NYU Tandon School of Engineering, Columbia University, CUNY, the New School.
The future really is much bigger than what it has been in the past, and it's only natural that we at Tandon should develop a center to support and enhance these activities. But we know that this is such a tall order that we cannot do it on our own entirely. So we have many partners.
This building right here is sort of the beginning of something completely new. I think ideas are going to be born here.
It will attract talent from across the globe to work in New York and to work on emerging tech. And I think New York is going to benefit a great deal from that.
I think it'll be great for innovators to have a space where people can collaborate and learn from each other.
I'm just so excited about VR and AR in general, and there's just such limited hubs in the world for it right now. And to have New York be one of them, where you have a place where a bunch of like-minded people can come together, and a space where you can use technology like motion capture, and I think it's amazing.
I believe New York has all the ingredients that are needed to make it the capital of the AR and VR world.
I think this will be a great opportunity to make New York the hub of virtual reality and augmented reality in the world, and that's why I want to be a part of it.
Ta-da!
I want to be a part of it too. I want to be a part of it too. RLab, loving it. We got a quick question before we end our show. Well, not a question, a shout out, I guess, from Mike Allen, who's like just shouting out AR Kit 3. I guess that might be a question for you, Mariia. How AR Kit 3? I mean, I love this. The integration of things like LiDAR and all being able to motion track like without other software. If you want to touch a little bit on that, real quick, we go.
The technologies in AR they evolve, and they give you the new instruments for you to interact. And actually, that video is 2 months old now. With the new iPad Pro. There are actually even newer capabilities for AR. So, we're in the field that never stands still. Like every single month, there's something happening that actually upgrades us. I was watching the video and, I am used to hearing that I work in a futuristic industry. Well, I guess all of this situation may bring us to the point that we are now. And well, it's already here. We just need more and more cases to bring it to the public and to enable the mass adoption. I guess that's the last serious point that we need to overcome as an industry.
Okay, well, again, I just want to thank you all for being on the show, and thank you all for watching. I'm going to leave you with my moment of Zen from your video, and here you have it. Enjoy. I never get the